What is going on, guys? How you doing this good day? It's a beautiful Tuesday, I believe, evening 9:20. Hadn't done a mini bike vlog in a while. Uh, Update on what's going on with the projects. All right, first and foremost, the Baja Warrior is officially done. It has a 420 Simpson big block stage one. The typical straight pipe. Aftermarket air filter. I'm sorry. And so on and so forth. But as far as the next project lined up after that is our Chapo. That originally had a 212 stage one Hemi with a dual pipe header. Uh, Again, aftermarket air filter, rejetted carb as well. Just basic. Now it's getting a Honda 390. All right, we already done cut the plate off, moved a bar about maybe 2 to 3 inches back, centimeters. I'm sorry, back a little bit, so the motor will be able to be mounted on that original plate, which I actually have some more flat stock metal, which I'm going to cut up and try to put in to give it a little bit more support. And plus, I would love to be able to have those bars set up where they'll be lined up on each end by cutting the bars, which it actually comes angle where it's an angle iron, and I have to cut it in half to be able to pull off this drilling the holes through and being able to line the motor and be able to push it back and forth because I'm just going to put an ordinary clutch on it. It has a chain tensor, which is nothing but a basic skateboard wheel. I would love to find a skateboard wheel that actually lights up. That would be pretty sick. We also have to order the sprocket. We have to order the throttle. We have to order the original brake hub setup because the one that we do have, some odd reason it doesn't have the bracket on it. All right, and them brackets are hard to find. So we're gonna just go ahead and redo it. I could try to make one, right, which it would consist of me drilling a hole through some kind of screw and being able to have it to the cable to be able to run through. But why do that when I could just order a new brake assembly, drum brake assembly, and run it that way? I just got to find a long enough cable, which I actually did already. I put it into my Amazon cart, so that's in the process as well. Once we get the chance to be able to order those, um, also the X18. I found an idea to be able to mount that torque converter that I have. I'm going to attempt to put it on there. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take that engine off. All right. Once we take the engine off, we're going to have to mount the torque converter onto the engine. Once we get it mounted onto the engine, then we can go ahead on by trying to see. I think I might end up having to drop the plate down some, but I have to drop it down far enough where it's not going to be interfering with anything. All right. As well as the shock, we got to adjust that issue as well. The front forks, we're gonna have to adjust that as well because they are really, really spongy. So we want to take care of that where they're a little bit more firm, as well as the shock. I don't know if it's because it's worn out. I've never really dealt with these kind of shocks on these kind of bikes. All right, this is my first ever X18, and that's the reason why I don't want to. I'm never going to get rid of it because it's always the challenge with it in order to make things work. So we have to get the torque converter on there. That's going to be the next project after. It's not too much work that needs to be done. It's just cutting the plate off, dropping it down about maybe a couple of inches at least, and remounting the engine. Luckily, we don't have to drill any holes. All we're doing is cutting and re-welding. All right, and bolting. That's really pretty much it. And just getting the torque converter on there so that way it can be able to fuse with the frame and we don't have to deal with any discrepancies. If we were to need some engine risers, luckily we already have them. I took the old foot pegs off of El Chapo. We're gonna just use those as engine risers. All right. Because it only has a 212 Hemi on it. It's a stage one. We're going to be deleting the governor and the engine as well. Uh, Putting some 20-pound valve springs in it. I might even go as far as replacing the push rods too. Uh, that's going to be a basic, like I said, mild stage one build. And I think that bike will be running a whole lot better after that with the torque converter, aftermarket carburetor as well. we're going to redo the whole X18. All right. Well, at first I was going to put a shifter engine on it, but I decided, to hell. I've been putting all that time and effort into that bike. I'm not going to be starting El Chapo until Wednesday. I give you guys my word. Wednesday, I will be off that day. Luckily I get paid that day as well. So, um, I have to pay my bills after I'm done handling all my responsibilities of taking care of home. If I have some spare change, I'm gonna start ordering the parts for El Chapo, which is the sprocket, the throttle. What else do I need? Uh, the brake assembly. Um, I gotta go out to the shop because I really haven't been out there ever since because I've been out of town. Me and my family went on a vacation to Florida, which we enjoyed. We just got back yesterday, so I hadn't really been in my shop at all. All right, I haven't even opened my door up. So once I'm able to go out there, then I'm able to, do an inventory on what I'll need for that bike, which I know is probably no more than, if I had to estimate, no more than probably $100 worth of parts that I'll need to get that bike finished. The gas tank I'm making. All right, so I got to finish welding that and finish doing finish work on the petcock, and we also have to order a petcock for it too. So if not, then I'm going to try to fuse the metals together where I'm going to keep welding it and taking my grinder and going around it, cleaning up the weld as much as I can, enough where it's small enough where I can fit a fuel line around it. And I'll have to just order a fuel shutoff valve, and bam, that'll be how I, work that out. But we're going to use that gas tank, and we have to, like I said, make sure it has no leaks as well. So we're gonna run through that and do an air pressure check as well. How we do an air pressure check is just with some plain. It's really best to do it with gas. It's really not recommended. I would say to do it with water because when you get water in your gas tank, it's really hard to get it out. Only way is by letting the gas tank dry completely out, and that takes a little bit of a while depending on your atmosphere and where you live. But with myself, I'm going to just run a little bit of gas in it to clean it out some. Um, I might even try to throw some like rocks or something in there so I can clean it out as much and make sure there's no, because that gas tank has been used, but it's been well over a year that I've even pulled it out and I even attempted to try to put it on the project. Now, I'm really probably going more on the concept of taking that one off and putting that one on the Baja Warrior because it's a little bit bigger, and putting the one on the Baja Warrior on El Chapo. Now, if I do that, either way, I'm going to still have to finish that gas tank, and I'm going to finish it. But once we're done all three of these, and I have these other two projects, these are going to be the ones that I sell. All right. There's going to be a X3, and there's also going to be a Cat Eye that I'm going to be building with two. One is going to have a. I hadn't decided whether it's going to be a Hemi or if I'm going to go with putting on a basic, Honda GX 200. So whatever each way I go or decide to go with it, it's going to have an engine, and I don't want it to be too powerful. So how we're going to work against that is just putting a basic stage one in it, keeping it simple. I want to be able to sell this bike not only to an adult but also to a teenager. I can't really say I would love to sell it to a kid, but if anything, they would have to be an experienced rider. All right, I do have a policy when it comes to how I sell mini bikes. All right, and my policy strictly is that it has to be an experienced rider or in a certain age group. All right, 16 or above, I recommend because these bikes are not for the, like I said to my wife earlier, but in another term, but for this term and mini bikes, it is not for the faint of heart. All right, I've seen even my homeboy get into an accident and it wasn't pretty. All right, he's still technically recovering from it, and it wasn't that long ago. But these mini bikes where people would not take, like for example, when my wife asked me why did I decide or what made me decide to go with putting big blocks on my bikes. Right, two of them have big blocks. So and I have technically four small block, three Hemis and one non-Hemi. The non-Hemi, I'm going to do a drag. I'm trying to get into the drag scene a little bit too. So I'm going to use that engine to be the base build off of the foundation, and I'm going to make a major animal build. That thing might end up having like a stage 3. I'm going to step it up to a stage 3 on that engine. I hadn't really decided what frame I'm going to use yet because the ones I have outside technically are too small. They would not be recommended, and it will only be would be recommended if I'm be willing to stretch out the swing arm. Both of them would have to be stretched out. Definitely, at least it would have to be stretched out a good 4, maybe 5 inches, and I would have to probably take this big, it's a 6 inch old tractor wheel that I had that was originally on El Chapo, but I took them off because the guy that built the bike, it didn't come out too well. I really don't. I really feel like if he probably had more time, he probably would have finished it. But and then it kind of make me also think too when you go to buy a bike. So that's another topic as well too, guys. You want to be careful when you buy a already built bike. All right, if you're not experienced when it comes to building, all right, that's why we have YouTube. All right, that's why we have a lot of informative information that's linking around on social media that is easily to our access. Okay, it's more on a self-reliant concept. All right, if you're willing to put your time in on educating yourself by learning how to change your oil, change your spark plug. These are some of the clean your carburetor. Let me see what else. Shit, that's about it. That's mostly the basic, maintenance that comes with owning any kind of engine, big block, small block, whatever you may do, or whatever it is you may decide. But when it comes to like replacement parts, like valve springs, your oil ring, your compression ring, when it comes down to the piston rod, when it comes down to the cam, when it comes down to the crankshaft, all of these things are having to deal with mechanical education. All right, when it comes down to you watching the videos and actually going out there with your engines, taking them apart. Now, I hadn't even gotten to the part where I started doing aftermarket builds, not till now. And what even made me decide to get into the drag racing scene. Now, understand this. All right, I'm not getting into it to be a racer, okay? Because I will definitely hire an experienced jockey. I am not trying to get myself on that bike and end up, it won't be pretty. Okay, let's put it to you guys that way. All right, it would not be pretty. I seen what happens to people when they get on them bikes and going at high rates of speed. I'm only building something to go at that high rate of speed with an experienced jockey. Of course, you have to pay your jockey, but me putting my bike into races where I would be eventually stepping up from a stage 3 to a stage 4, and from a stage 4 and so on. All right, they go all the way up to a stage 6. All right, now when it comes down to you have to really get your block reinforced. All right, I'm learning that with the aftermarket build, and especially being willing to get into it right now as we speak. Now, I'm not technically into it just yet because I'm still in the process of building the other 2 bikes. Luckily, I finished the Baja Warrior. It took me a while to finish it because the time conflicted with me, my work schedule, and of course, I have to take care of my family. I barely have time, so it's me trying to really plan things accordingly to be able to get to the project and not have to put it off or neglect it so long. Like I said, I have other responsibilities, so my schedule was kind of packed. Now that we're back in town, I'm able to get back into like Wednesday to building El Chapo and getting him finished off, or at least the engine, because some strange reason, I don't know if any of you guys watch this video, please comment on this question that I'm about to ask, which is the gas tank that's on this GX390. All right, I got it for you know actually free. All right, only thing it needs is some new oil rings. All right, and of course, I got to order the exhaust. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I got to order the exhaust and the air filter for that as well. So yeah, it's gonna run me about close to $100 because shoot, no, actually a little bit more than that. Now that I think about it, because the exhaust itself costs about $40. The air filter itself costs about 30, so that's about 70 right there. The throttle is 11, I think. Um, I don't think I have to worry about the length of it too much because the traditional thumb throttles that I order I don't really even have to get the whole entire assembly. I just need to get the cable. Okay, because I already have the thumb throttle assembly on there, and that's still good. I just got to get a brand new cable, and that should take care of that. And of course, like I said, it's going to get um, the governor bypassed. Yeah, it's pretty much not that much that I really need for that bike. That's the reason why we're not, too much in a rush, because once we order the parts and have them in our possession, then we'll be able to go from there. I have to find the right sprocket. I don't know what size I'm going to run. I'm probably going to go between the ranges of like 40 to 50, on the back end. The front end is going to only be 12. So I don't think the gearing should be too much of a problem. I might end up at some point ordering a max torque converter, max torque clutch. I'm sorry, because that's what I ordered on the Baja Warrior, and it panned out real well. If I were to order the exact same one that's on the Baja Warrior, then I have to order the keyway. If this engine holds up with this clutch that I already have, right, then I don't have to worry about ordering the keyway. It already has a keyway built into that clutch. So, kill two birds with one stone. I stole the keyway out of that engine to be able to use on the Baja Warrior. Left it on there and then said the hell with it. So now I'm going to end up taking that clutch and doing a test run to see if it works out. All right, once I'm able to get the sprocket and drill and retap the hole, I'm going to do a little bit of welding on the back wheels as well, because one of the housings broke off, and before I drill and retap it, I want to take my welder and try to see if I can repair it, building another wall and grinding it down a little bit. But that should pan out a little bit well too. If not, then I have an idea where I'll stick bolts, right, nuts behind the sprocket, in between the sprocket and the housing, and that will level the sprocket off. Once I'm able to bolt the sprocket down, I'm going to use the same similar bolts that I have that I've used to mount the engines. The same exact ones, I'm going to use those on the back sprocket. So I know those will hold very well. Um, I don't know if I have the size, so I might end up having to order a pack, uh, which is not a problem whatsoever. We'll be able to. It's really dirt cheap. But luckily we don't have to order a no carburetor or anything like that. We just got to order the new oil rings, and we're going to replace that. Well, along with getting a tool, the specific tool that you have to use to put your piston head back in. All right. People always had that problem when it come down to getting that piston to slide back into the housing. All right, to the cylinder wall, trying to keep those piston rings, of course, clocked. I think about 60 degree, or I can't quite call piston rings before, but this is going to be my first time. Um, Once I get the gas tank off, then I'm able to get the engine mounted. I think I might end up having to redo the seat. I'm hoping that I don't. Right, if I have just where the cylinder head just barely touches the seat area, right, then I'm not going to worry about it. All right, it's just a couple of centimeters. If I have even that much room clearance, I'm not going to have to redo the seat. But if it like literally touches, because don't get it twisted, people, those overhead valve covers at some point do still get hot. Now I could take a little bit of this metal that I have on the X18, cut a part of that off, and probably weld it up in between the frame and the overhead valve cover. It does. The overhead valve cover gets hot. I could use that through a piece of what is it? What is that called? Shit. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Shoot. What is it called? Um, diamond plate, diamond plated sheet metal. I could take a piece of that off of that bike, because I can stand to lose a piece of it off of there anyway, because I'm still trying to figure out an idea on how to get the fairing to work, because I don't have the original fairing. I still have a headlight that I have to put on that bike. I got a couple of things on the X18 to do. All right. Headlight setups. I won't start that until during the wintertime, because I really don't ride that much right now, but I'm trying to get these projects at least built, you know. I got to order chain tensors as well for the X18. I'm sorry, for the El Chapo, and like I said, a couple of miscellaneous parts. It's not really much, but it's going to come up. I see it now. It's going to be about almost $200 worth of parts that I'm gonna have to buy for this bike in order for it to be running and riding. The seat, I'm gonna just get some ordinary fabric I'll find laying around and cut it up and make a seat. I don't have any fabric that I really like. Don't get me wrong. I would never say this to my wife, but she has a blanket, a black blanket that I love. I love the fabric. Now, for the part where I said don't tell her, I swear I wish she would be throwing that away because I would cut that thing up and literally wrap that around the seat to redo it. Right, it would be real nice. I mean, probably of course packing the seat in with a little bit of cotton because at some point the seat got burnt up. The one on the Baja Warrior, I would have to redo that seat and redo the seat on El Chapo. But I have this dual header pipe. I'm trying to decide if I can't really make the header pipe because I don't have a flange and I don't have a piece of metal that's way thick enough. I already have to do head work on one of the cylinder heads and on the engines, but that's not on the engine that's on any of these bikes. Luckily, all right. These bikes already have perfectly running engines. Luckily, I told my wife, I said, look, I would be willing to sell my engine, but I would be rather it be the parts like of course, like I said, the frames that I had, the cat eye and the X1. Those were projects that I was doing, but I ended up getting these three. These are my main collection bikes. Those two are going to get sold to be able to go into a project of a street go kart, a racing go kart. So once we're able to accomplish that by getting these three finished, we're able to get jump onto those two projects and get those built and get those sold. All right. I really do. I'm not gonna lie. Would love to have kept them, but it's storage. All right. I won't be able to pull it off to be able to keep them without being able to have a shed to be able to store them properly and just having them sit outside. I hate doing stuff like that. The truth be told, but of course I am right now. But it's only because the circumstances. My shop is but so big and it only can fit but so much along with my tools and welder and everything like that. So when it comes down to your space and your storage, make sure you always keep that to a level in the minimum where it's not to the level where you start hoarding. All right. I didn't say I'm not going to say I was hoarding. I wasn't. I was having too many projects piling on top of myself. All right. That I really allowing to happen. I would end up seeing one project and I would be in the process of still doing something else, and then get distracted and be like, you know what? Let me grab that up. I got to get that deal. I literally stopped and controlled myself on that because and I'm really proud of myself of that as well because when you get to that level, people start not to realize you have one project on you and you're going to see something that ends, of course, Facebook Marketplace is like a candy store for many bike parts. All right. It's the one go to place that you go at to get whatever it is you need. I mean, of course, that's used on the used level. But if you're able to afford the brand new, you go to Go Power Sports, you go to OMB. Those are the most go-to companies. You got Stud Racing, all of these different companies that are into the mini bike scene and that actually not only can sell you the part, they also give you information for free consultation. Whatever project or engine it is that you build, they would completely walk you through it. All right, you can tell them whatever idea that you got, and they can give you a couple of pointers on what it is to use to accomplish that idea, to making it from just a vision to reality. All right, now you can have a vision of a Batman shaped bike. They would help you with that. You can have a vision of just a bike that goes so daggone fast that you don't know what to do with yourself. They can help you with that. Not saying they're going to help you with hurting yourself now because that's on your own accord. Whatever it is you build, just be like understand like myself. Whatever it is you build, don't ever underestimate it. I did that with a little chopper that I built and got into an accident. All right. Luckily, I didn't break a bone. I barely got a scratch. I ended up having a swollen hip for a couple days, but I didn't break anything. Right. I respected every single thing it is that I build now. Like my big block, that one is a monster. All right, my Baja Warrior is one not to mess with. Okay, that thing gets up. Now my wife and my oldest daughter used to love that bike. All right, and I never really, I can't say that I didn't realize it because I did, but I didn't really believe that they were in that much love with that bike. Any opportunity that they did ride it. All right, my daughter was the main one in love with it because my oldest one, because she just would jump on it and just go. But along with the circumstance, I decided that when my birthday hit this year, past year, I went ahead and bought that, that engine that I got, which is it was off a cement mixer. So when my wife found that out, found that out, what kind of engine it was and where it came off of, it was kind of a little bit like shocked, but also scared at the same time because the engine, the capability that it has, all right, it wasn't dialed in completely like the guy. I guess he didn't really know how to do it, right? How to dial the engine in, dial the carburetor in, but I got it dialed in to the point now it's safe to ride. You can get on it and don't have to worry about the bike. You can start it. It does have a hell of a lot of compression. I'm not gonna lie. The compression definitely could be adjusted a little bit. If not, putting an electric starter on it, that would solve the whole. When you go to try to start it will yank the hell out your arm. That engine has a lot of compression. All right, so at some point, like I said, I will address it and I will take care of it. But right now, it runs perfectly. All right. Putting a couple more links on the back wheel and being able to pull the wheel all the way back, what could be stand to be, done. But that's going to be another day worth of work. But that's it, guys. I'm going to short this video because I'm a little tired. It's already 9:47. I got to get ready to go to work tomorrow again. Another 12-hour shift. Peace.